service is provided by access code accepted. There are 9 participants in this conference. All callers are muted and they can unmute themselves.
Detroit, Highland Park, Michigan.
SOS Graphic Design provides agency-quality professional graphic design services from established companies to startups and individuals, creating a simple logo to complete rebranding and delivering visual communication through print media. SOS Graphic Design does have a single unifying objective to set your business apart. We are at your service. Call 313-342-2166. That's 313-342-2166 or online at www.sosgraphicdesigns.com. Have you ever searched for a cell-phone greeting card and still couldn't find the one that everybody does? So search for more and call Designed by D. We offer birthday cards. Our cards are one-of-a-kind keepsake items that your recipients will want to place on their mantle with all of their other beautiful and treasured items. We also offer holiday cards. With Designed by D, no holiday will go unnoticed. Our unique greeting cards are sure to celebrate all holidays. We also have cards for special occasions. We are your one-stop shop for unique and three-dimensional handmade greeting cards for all occasions. Specializes. We also take custom orders. Every card is crafted with care and made with love. So call Designed by D's today at 601-451-9526 or visit our website www.designedbydonsonline.com. Healthcare happiness for Pittsburgh, True Hair Beauty and Natural Hair Care Salon, located at 18070 Mount Elliott Street. Our new salon is spacious with adequate parking, Wi-Fi, and all brand new state-of-the-art salon equipment. Come into your local hair braiders and natural hair care specialists and check out our many hair services such as hair treatment, box braids, cornrows, tree braids, cabana twists, children's braids, natural twists, block extensions, kinky twists, guided blocks, updos, full weaves, and more. Please feel free to visit us on the web at www.sistersbraid2.com or call 313-826-0498. Here at Sisters Braid 2, we offer exceptional care for exceptional hair. We look forward to seeing you. Sisters Braid 2 is a proud recipient of the Unity and Rebuilding Fund.
We would like to invite you to help support the efforts of the Unity and Rebuilding Fund. Visit the website at www.unityandrebuildingfund.com. That's www.unityandrebuildingfund.com. We often hear how we need to work together to rebuild the city, and we're actually doing it. You can make online donations and click on links to track the progress of the Unity and Rebuilding Fund. And for more information, 313-868-0000 is the local number. Again, 313-868-0000. Support. Watching live, Highland Park, Michigan. FM 88.1 WHPR, Highland Park, WVIE 107.3 FM Charlotte, Amalia, Virgin Islands. The opinions expressed on the following show are not necessarily the opinions of W33BY, its affiliates, management, or sponsors. sisters, are you tired of reading the Holy Scriptures and not really understanding what you read? And it's like reasonable to show recording. Never tested that what you feel. No, with someone you may have a different view than your own. Then let's talk to one another. Let's read one another. On a Scriptural Discussion with the Son of Man. A live broadcast every Sunday at 12 noon on TV 33, FM 88.1 WHBR, and Comcast Cable. So why don't you call and let's discuss the Holy Bible, and if you have one, the Holy Quran, and come to an agreement about the Holy Scriptures and their true meaning. So tune in to a Scriptural Discussion with the Son of Man every Sunday at 12 noon, right here on TV 33, FM 88.1 WHBR, and Comcast Cable. You can call in live on the air at area code 313-868-4336, 868-0342, and 868-0351. Of course, the area code is 313. That's 313-868-4336, 868-0342, and 868-0351. And now let's go live with the Scriptural Discussion of the Son of Man.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, the Truthful, and the Most Just, I greet all of you who have the hunger and thirst for the understanding of the instruction in righteousness. I greet you all with the greeting words of peace. May Allah's Salam Alaikum. I want to give those of you who have disagreements with me the opportunity to discuss it with me. Truthful people do not mind having discussion with people who are of different opinions, different schools of thought than themselves, especially if the truthful person is trying to teach or change the mind of someone. It's like I said, you know, it's not one of you who accepted to follow me that I did not give the opportunity to question me all you felt like it. Argue with me all you felt like it. But once you decided that you were my followers, your arguing days with me is over. You see? So, but now the people who I'm yet trying to convert, they are the ones I want to hear from if they want to argue. Do you understand? So, we have people at all time. We had one fellow, I think the man, brother counted his words, it was over 2,500 words he left in a post on our site, that I invited him to come in and have a discussion with me, and he wouldn't show up. So since he don't want to have a discussion, I'm not going to let you leave your insulting what you call, it's insult to people for you to write them just like if you go down to the police station, you go down there and file a written complaint. You swear out a complaint against someone and then tell the police that you're not interested in coming into court defending your complaint. They tell you, well, this ain't worth nothing then. This is, you know, I'm going to tell you something. If you go around posting stuff and people bring me stuff you post about me and is full of lies, you are aware that's called libel, right? You can be sued for well, especially a person who is a notable person whose reputation is based on his honesty and integrity, and you go out and post lies about that person, you can be sued for that. Your name might not mean nothing to you, but mine mean everything to me. I'm the Son of Man. I'm not a liar. And unless you know of somebody else who's out here answering to that title, you better be careful what you let me catch you out there saying stuff about me that ain't true. Now, a mental issue, which I ain't gonna take nobody that I know crazy. I ain't finna go to court with you. And anybody that talk to you for any length of time will pretty soon figure out that you ain't all there. Because common sense tells you that if a man is on the air, like I'm on the air, 5 times a week, and in a forum that you can just press a button on your phone and unmute yourself and take him to task about something he said, you don't have to talk about nobody like that behind their back. You can confront them. So I want those who, you know, I told brother, if people come in there and want to leave a book, all that is somebody trying to put a sign up under your, if you got a business, people try to slip in there and put a sign up there to suggest that your business is closed. You see? You know, so, I mean, if you think I shouldn't be teaching people, then why don't you come in here and tell me that? I sure tell everybody else that they ain't got no business teaching. All these people that was in the Nation of Islam that hear me, every one of them done heard me say, if you're not following me, you're not a Muslim. Now I know that that don't rub people the right way, but you're not going to be able to say I didn't tell you. Why you think the messenger said, if you was already in Islam, why did the messenger say a very beautiful people that has been marred and spoiled? Let me see if I can find that. I may have it here. Just give me a minute here.
Ourselves and them too. That's right. We be right. Yes, sir. And putting them on the right foot. This is a wonderful thing. Yes, sir. He said to Israel, I am your God. Israel shall bear witness. Yes, sir. Right. my faith that I've bestowed upon you. Yes, sir. Take a lesson from me. That if I bestow upon you those great blessings, what do you think I'm going to do for you? Yes, sir. There you go. Yes, sir. Go ahead, Pastor. If I'm blessed Israel to bring her out of the bondage of power, what do you think I'm going to do for you? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Think of that. I'll bound Israel in the way of our wilderness, and I'll bound you in the way of our and you my own. That's right. You're their witness, dear Apostle. We are yours. That's right. That's right. So, if God said, and He has said, that we belong to Him, oh, praise Him. He called Israel his son. Yes, sir. He's out of Egypt. Yes, sir. Oh, my. Yes, sir. I said to him that if they obey me, I will lead them in a land that I will give to them. On the condition that they believe. Right. And obey. But they didn't obey. So his promise can't be fulfilled because that you don't give me a chance. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I want to fulfill my promises, Lord, but you won't let me fulfill it. Yes, sir. Who brought you in this place, Israel? Yes, sir. Who met you, Israel? When there was no grace. Yes, sir. Take your time, I only wanted to show it to you, Israel, that I'm God. Right. So it's plain thing. Brothers and sisters have come forever. Yes, sir. I want to show you. Oh, my Lord, that He that found you in me, yes, sir, is God. Yes. He owns that. And He wants to do for you that which will stand forever. Yes, sir. It belongs to you. It did belong to you. But now you're the true one. Thank you. Yes, sir. Israel taken away from you. Right. Come on. I want to give it back to you.
You just remember that when he was teaching, I'm going to let you hear him say something that you missed, and that you will understand why I'm telling you that if you not following me, you're not a Muslim. When he was talking about respecting everybody and respecting white people, he said, take somebody's property. He said, take nothing. You go to war with no man over that which is his own. He said, no, you go to war with yourself. He said, well, he taking it from me and he taking it from my brother. He said, well, if he taking it from the Indian, let the Indian fight for his own. And he said, one thing I can bear witness with the white man, that the Indian wasn't doing nothing with it, with the country, but hunting and fishing. And if he was going to come and take it away from them and build up a great country like this, he said, I say he should have come here a long time before he did come. He said, give justice to where justice belongs, and don't try and rob people out of justice. He said, you say, well, he taking it. He said, well, he taking it from me. He said, well, if you're going to let him take it, well, then that's okay. If you're going to let me take it, then that's okay. You didn't understand that. It is written, let us make man in our image after our likeness and let them take dominion over the earth. So if you're going to let him take it, then that's okay. So we let them have dominion. And now it is time for us to take it back. It's time for the earth to return and the people on it to return to its original owner. Do you understand? It's just like when a contract run out of a lease. Once your lease is up, it's up to the owner of the land that leased it out to you in the first place. If he want to let it out to you again, he can, or he can tell you, you vacate my property. Huh? So you watch. He's going to let you know that what I said to you is true. In a few words. Just listen.
Been lost and found. Been lost from his brethren for a long time. Now he's found. And we must bring him again. Sitting down in the midst of his brother. Yes, sir. And tell him, this is your home. Yes, sir. So today, you're on your way to become the honorable ruler of the earth. What? You lay hold to that hand that will not break off with you. You must keep it. Yes, sir.
Now, he said, once you lay hold to that handle that will not break off with you, you must keep it. I bear witness, the scripture says, hold that fast which thou hast. lest any man take thy crown. That's just the same thing that's in the book of Revelation that Allah said to me. The messengers all, they spoke to me. And they was letting me know that as good as saying, you the one, but you got to hold on. You're going to suffer many things. You're going to be rejected and despised. As it's written, in all of their afflictions, Son of Man, you're going to suffer all them things. But hold fast to the truth that you know. That truth will not break off. It will not give way up under the weight of you trying to defend yourself. The truth is your defense. At the same time, when everybody went to changing what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said and not actually living up to what he said. It's just like anybody who came into the Nation of Islam before 1973, you don't have to be no, I should say, before and during the time of the Theology of Time lecture, when the messenger in September of 72, he said, when the brother asked him about naming people, he said, I could name you. He said, you and all your children could be named at once. I could name you, he said, and he's not going to take the name away that I give to you. He said, but I'm expecting him here pretty soon. Well, if he was expecting somebody pretty soon, then that left you out if you was already there. Do you understand? So you don't have to be deceiving yourself, talking about telling yourself the lie that you the one. If you thought you was the one, you'd come in here and confront me. But I've already proven to you that you are not the one. Because when you knew anything, the one that you thought you was standing up here talking to you, and you found out that I've been doing this since 1975. The messenger didn't say that Elijah comes after God. He said he goes before God. Then right behind him, God will appear. Here you come up here talking about you started something in 1992, 2000 and something. That ain't no right behind him. You heard Brother Donald bear witness. He told you that I was telling him who I was way back there. And he just smiled and like you know, because I was very young. And I was about 25. Well, actually, I was 24, you know, when the messenger passed. And but I knew that I was the one, but I didn't know what I know now. So I had to get experience, and I had to suffer things. That's what suffer means. It means experience things. And so that's what I have been doing. All these arguments that you see me able to deal with now, back in 75, I couldn't have dealt with a lot of the stuff that people were saying right now, because I was a baby in my knowledge, in my growth and development. But now I've been I've been growing and developing for 40, since 70, actually since 73. And from 73 to 2013, it's 40 years. So I've been going 45 years now. So we are not, I'm not unequipped to deal with you now. You can't bring up, that's why people think you say, you cut me off. Well, most of the stuff you saying, I done heard it so many times that I know where you're going with it before you finish. The mind that I'm talking to is the same mind. It's just in different people. It's just like the mind that was in Jesus. That's the same mind that was in Moses, David, Solomon. Just at a different stage of growth and development. But it's the same mind. And it was all leading up to me. So, I mean, anytime the ruler of this world, and he has definitely been a ruler, if you compared, the further back you go in history, the wiser the white man appears. Yeah, I mean, these people today couldn't hold a candle against Ben Franklin and George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and all of them giants. Those men were indeed mental giants compared to what you see going on here now. But, it's just like as the day comes in, the darkness gets lesser and lesser because the day is coming. You see? So that's why the book says, I beheld a pale horse. Well, the time the moon looks pale is when it's up with the sun. Then you start to see that all of the light that is on the moon wasn't even the moon's light. It was the sun's light. Huh? So, I'm not here to try to belittle anybody. But my presence puts everybody in their place. Look, here I stand up and talk for 3 hours, 6 hours, 12 hours. And I'm the only one that can speak as long as we talking about scriptures. You ain't got nothing to teach me about the scripture. Only thing the scripture does for you is deceive you. Poisons your mind to the point where it damns you. It holds you back from salvation. Because if you don't come to me, you ain't got no salvation. Now, and that goes for white people, that goes for brown people, that goes for yellow people and black people. If you don't accept me, you have no salvation. That's one thing Eddie Kendrick, one of my favorite singers, he sure sung that song. You read the book of Revelation, you find that he's your only salvation. That's what that song said. And he sure didn't lie. I don't know who wrote it, but he sure sung it. They say he's a friend of mine. Do you know the meaning of the name Marvin? It means friend of the sea. Why? Because the sea is where all of the rivers become one. Jesus said, he that believeth on me, out of his belly shall flow what? Rivers of living waters. Well, how did the living waters get in the belly of the Son of Man? Allah said, Son of Man, take the book and eat it up. And now all them rivers have become a great sea in me. And you know what it says, you my friend, if you do whatsoever I command you. I come to do thy will, O God. Well, who's the God I came to do? Just pick one. Because they're all one. That's why they came one at a time. Say, he, Allah, is one. You see? When Jesus came on the scene, John knew it was his time to depart. John said, he must increase and I must decrease. The messenger knew I was here. And he told everybody, he said, come on in, brother. Have a seat, brother. Why? Sit on my right hand, Son of Man, till I make enemies for you all over the earth. Then you go out with the true religion and shut them all down. Which is what I've done. I've shut your mouth when it comes to religion. Yep. You got no religion. You got your idea of God. You don't have the slightest clue about God. That's why you get mad when you find out the reality of God. God is the truth, and that is God's God. And the best knower of the truth is your God. And both of them standing here right now. Yep. This is frank teaching that I'm giving you. You know how people say, can I be frank with you? Yes. Frank teaching. Yep. If anybody has an argument that they can present that condemns what I just said, let me hear it. If I'm wrong, I need to know. Because I would rather be dead than to mislead you. That's the one thing that I'm always mindful of. I don't want to be the cause of anyone's being lost. See? So, I don't play with the word of God. So, this is the day of judgment. So I want you to listen to the messenger, because he's going to say something that will make you realize. I mean, he knew that I remember Brother Donald told me once, he told me this more than once, but I remember when I was first standing up, he told me, he said, the messenger said that if a lot of us knew the truth, we just going back in the grave now. You know, and at the time he said that, I didn't ask him, why did the messenger say that? I didn't have to. Even then, I had an inkling of what that was about. And I just put it out of my mind. But the reason that he said that was because if you studied the history of Jesus and Elias, both of them had something in common. The only one Jesus raised from the dead was Lazarus. And the only one Elijah raised from the dead was the widow's son. You see? That's what the scriptures was sharing with us. Those characters. Most people think that, well, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad raised hundreds of thousands of black people from the dead. No, he raised you from mental death. But that's not the resurrection of the dead. The book said, because Adam was given dominion, Adam being the devil, the man of sin, death, the sentence of death, passed on all men. Well, it wasn't talking about mental death. The white man ain't been mentally dead. He knows he's the devil. And he gives us hints at it all of the time. He have little coined words that he coined, little phrases that he coined. Well, speak of the devil. Well, where are the kids? Everybody know that a kid is a baby goat. I mean, he ain't been hiding who he is. He know he's the devil. I remember when I was a little boy, when it came time for 4th of July, we went and bought Red Devil fireworks. Evel Knievel was the daredevil. So, I mean, it's not like this is new to you. You just was dead. Mentally. And you know, a mentally dead person is the same as saying that they are functionally illiterate. You know, they are functional, but they are still illiterate when it comes to language. They don't understand what's really being said. Just like when Grover Norquist stood up there and told her, I mean, it was just plain to me. The man said he wanted to reduce the government down to the size that it could fit in a bathtub. Well, the only time your government, if you got 3 branches, the Congress have 500 and some members in it, right? The executive branch has not just the president, that covers the Justice Department too. That's all part of the executive branch. The military, that's who the president is. He's the chief executive officer of the government of the United States. And he's the chief executive officer of the military, because that's the only way he could uphold the Constitution. He has to have power to order the military to do things if people get to clowning, and breaking the laws and violating the Constitution of America, you know. So, I mean, to reduce that to the size that it could fit in a bathtub, then you got 9 Supreme Court justices. That's part of the government of America. Mr. Norquist said he wanted to reduce it down to the size that it could fit in a bathtub. How many people generally get in a bathtub? As in Putin playing chess? The man that's supposed to be the president of the United States thumbing his nose at the American people that he supposedly worked for. and tell the American people it ain't none of their business what I went in there and talked to Putin about, and I ain't gonna let nobody come in here and from you to find out if I'm selling you out. And you sit there like a bunch of Negroes and took it. The Negro is the only one that had a history of doing stuff like that. You ain't seen no white people let nobody punk them like that. You know something going on. Well, anyway, see, ain't nobody saying nothing. What am I misstating? You know, I mean, I'll get back to that later, because I know you sitting there trying to figure out what.
You don't have to worry about the people coming to you. Yes, sir. They all will come to you. Yes, sir. As the Bible teaches you. Look and see. Yes, sir. They all come to thee. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very beautiful. Yes, sir. That has been marred and spoiled. Yes, sir.
Who is this very beautiful people that has been marred and spoiled? Did you take a good look at the Muslims, the Nation of Islam, when the messenger was here? You didn't even have to. I mean, you could just look at a brother and know that he was a Muslim. But that's the truth. We had stopped eating pig, and stopped drinking and smoking and putting poison in our bodies. Stopped all that cursing and swearing and going on. Stopped getting high. Stopped disrespecting our people. And the sisters, all of them had on garments that you could get married in. And didn't have no makeup on. Skin looked like velvet. What happened when WD and them took over? You know what happened. Lost all that beauty. Huh? So that's what the messenger saw, and he spoke about it.
Very beautiful. Yes, sir. That has been marred and spoiled. Yes, sir. Where you coming?
Why did he say? Why did he say a very beautiful people that has been marred and spoiled? You ever had the experience of, you know, mothers don't hardly do it no more, canned food. But my mother and them used to buy canning jars. And she would can peaches, she would can apples and can beans and stuff like that. And when you push that, you could tell when that seal had been on there, it was okay, because when you push the top down, it don't come back up. It means it's intact. You could open it. It may have been sitting up for a year, 2 years. As long as didn't no outside air get into it, you could open it up and eat it. And so when you press that top and it come back, when you open it up, you gonna smell it. It's gonna be spoiled. As long as the teachings of the Nation of Islam was strictly, as the messenger said when he was talking about going to visit Ethiopia, he said that he went to there and he saw that mosque there, but he didn't go in. He said, once you get the new Islam, you're not particular about going here in Islam taught from nowhere but among yourselves. Huh? You remember me playing that for you? As long as the Islamic doctrine that we had was strictly what Allah gave to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we was fine. But I need to let you hear something else here. This is WD. Let's see if I can find it. I like to let people see that I'm not here making up stuff. I tell the truth. If the truth is against you, well, you know, that's between you and your conscience. I'm not finna dress the truth up to suit your ear. So I want you to hear this, if I can get it to come up and play. Because the messenger said we was he said, a very beautiful people that has been marred and spoiled. Yeah. And I'm trying to get this thing to come up. Let's try it again. When I explain these things to you, can't nobody come behind me and say that ain't the truth. Because I'm proving it as I'm saying it. That's what takes so long. I have to prove these things. Ain't just say them, got to prove them. I guess maybe I should have just left that, been patient. And brought it up twice, now it's taking twice as long. So, but you're going to hear what I was trying to say. Here.
That Malcolm had been killed, murdered. Without thinking, I told my wife, I said, I have to call Daddy. He came to the phone. He said, Assalamu alaikum, Mother. I said, Assalamu Daddy. I said, tomorrow is Savior's Day. I said, I want to be on the platform with you tomorrow. And she said, that's yours, Savior's Day. I said, that's good, son. I said, well, you know what that means? I said, yes, sir. He said, you have to come before the people and tell them you're wrong.
Put his picture up there.
I said, yes, sir.
That's Wallace talk.
I'm going to bring before you the messenger of Allah's son, Brother Wallace D. Muhammad. Who wants to make a confession? Brother Wallace.
Now, to give Wallace and the messenger's children some what you call, to give them justice. When strangers meet a messenger of God, that's all they ever known him as when they accept him. But when family members of that messenger, like his siblings and his mother, his father, his children, oftentimes when that messenger is chosen, they didn't always know him as that. They just knew him as daddy, or, you know, in the messenger's case, Elijah, whatnot. Now he claiming that he's something that they don't know nothing about. And that's why Jesus, he said, when the people were saying, is this not the carpenter's son? It's not his mother and his brothers and sisters all with us? James and Joseph and Simon, they all with us. They whence then hath this man this wisdom? And Jesus said, a prophet is not without honor, except among his own kinsmen and in his own country. You understand? And so, you know, that is something that, you know, some of the relatives that didn't follow, all of the messenger's relatives didn't follow him. They knew him when he was something else. As the messenger said, he said, I myself was not Elijah Muhammad in those days. He said, and I thank him for forgiving me for the evil that I did. But people who knew you when, they want to know, well, you coming up here talking about you a messenger of Allah, whatever. Man, I've been knowing you all your life. And so, you know, people, and then when they get around their children, they get them same people. They'll be telling his children, your daddy don't know what he talking about. And that kind of thing. That's the way relatives do that. You know, and so that's just the way it is. So, you know, that comes with the territory. That's why Mercury is a good example. Even though Mercury is closest to the sun, all the life and the wisdom and everything is happening 2 planets away. Even though Mercury is the closest. Do you understand? So it's much to be understood. So you being close, you know, as they say, familiarity gives rise to contemptuous behavior. Do you understand? So be careful. But anyway, WD, he out here, he talking about he had a dispute with her, and that's the first thing he had wrong. You ain't never had no dispute with God's messenger. The minute you have a dispute with God's messenger, you in trouble with God. We sent no messenger. It didn't say, but he should be disputed with. It said, but that he should be obeyed. Once Allah chooses a servant, then Allah becomes one with that servant. And if that servant is to be judged, it's not by you. Who is he that judgeth Allah's servant? You can't judge what you cannot understand. The best thing to do, which he messed up, and he said that he had recognized made a great mistake. Huh? Well, what is it when you do the same thing all over again? Is it a mistake or is it an error? Knowing you done already acknowledged that it was a mistake, then why did you come back and start saying the same thing that you had already acknowledged was a mistake to do? But listen to him.
Prohibited all members of the Nation of Islam from serving in the U.S. military, which he calls the white man's army. Wallace Muhammad was charged with draft evasion and in 1961 began serving a 3-year prison sentence.
I was in Sandstone Federal Correctional Institution, free, away from family, away from this.
And let me explain something else to you too. You hear me talking about my experience of being in the Marine Corps. Yes, I'm thankful for that experience. But I want you to know that in the hereafter, there are not going to be no wars between man and his brother. The only thing we will have, the only purpose we will have for a military is when we go out into the universe, we will use what we learned to defend ourselves, if necessary, from hostile environments. I don't say hostile people. Ain't gonna be no people but us. We started it right here. And whenever you find inhabited planets, it will be because we put them inhabitants there. Well, now they're finding out that these planets are like eggs waiting. And we're going to fertilize them too. I got my thoughts on that. And I will be talking with the scientific community of man. It's just like that song that the Temptations was sung, Power. You say, that part that says, I will make you all the master race. Yes, just put me in my godly place. You notice I'm about the only one who stand up in front of you to teach you and don't try to sell you nothing. If I know something to help you, you ain't gonna have to worry about having to buy it. You ain't gonna have to buy it. I'm gonna share it with you. Because we family. How many of you all, if you was a doctor, would your family need to have money to get you to use your skills if they need help? Even in this world, a man knows that he ain't got no business giving his brother or his daughter or his son or his mother a bill from some skill that he had to help them. Right? I just took it to the next level. That's all. You know, I mean, I know how you're supposed to treat family. I'm not finna try to get rich off of your misfortune. That's what this world is set up. That's what capitalism is. Capitalize off of people's misfortune. I mean, I'm not, look, the devil was made for the purpose to rule with that kind of mind until we got produced somebody who could see the error in it and not fall victim to it. Because all of y'all done fell victim to it. I'm the only man on this planet that ain't fell victim to greed, capitalism, and the stuff that you do all that big talk, all you want. But all you have to do, you have people, these are six fruits that you should not eat. Then when you prick on it, you got to watch a whole tape. You got to, and at the end, this is what it's going to cost you. Because everybody is in survival mode. And when you're in survival mode, you can't think straight. I mean, then and then here's another thing. When people get what you call wealthy, you wonder why they seem to not care about the poor. They lost all of that on the way to getting wealthy. That's what's meant by dog eat dog world. And everybody that's outside of the thinking of the word of God, the word of God call you dogs. On the outside are dogs. And everyone that loveth and maketh up a lie. So, I'm here to take that old stony heart out of you and give you a human heart. Like I have. So you listen to Wallace as he even tried to say the messenger didn't know his name. The messenger named him. And he gonna say his name was Warith, not Wallace. But the messenger named him Wallace. You know, I mean, it's you know, it's really something to hear people you know, make up something. So if you wanted to change your name, just change your name, man. But don't say your own daddy didn't know what name he named you. Do you understand? So, but listen,
what Islam demands on my time, I'm free. I was in San Francisco Federal Correctional Institution as free, away.
Now, he called himself free when he was in jail. In other words, he thought jail was better than being in the Nation of Islam. And this is the man that they followed when the messenger wasn't here no more. A very beautiful people that has been marred and spoiled. When you spoiled the nation is when you started trying to mix Orthodox Islam into what we had. You spoiled yourself. And you became, your mind became like food that was canned, and you letting it sit up there, and some air, outside air got in there. And from that point on, it was through. Got spoiled. That's why I was told to hold that fast, meaning hold fast to that which thou hast, lest any man take your crown. The messenger said, sit him down over there and do what? Crown him. So, and nobody took my crown. I didn't buy into that stuff. Hey, you got people running around here talking about you can't understand the Holy Quran unless you can read Arabic. And I asked them a simple question. See, I never was a person who just went along to get along. My daddy wasn't like that. My daddy didn't let me be like that. You know, if he disagreed with you, he didn't care if you was his son. He didn't care if you was his daughter or his wife. If you was wrong, he told you. You see? And he taught me to honor him and my mother. And he taught me that with a belt. And he didn't follow me to listen to what I was saying about him or about my mama when I was mad or whatnot. But he showed if I mumbled something, and he could hear me mumbling. Hey, boy, what did you say? And I didn't say nothing. Yes, you did. Come here. And then he put something on me. He taught me to control my mouth. Less God had to teach me. There's a whole lot of short graves out there in the graveyard. But take my word for it. Everybody in the graveyard ain't no old man or old woman. You might think you're getting away with something. But God said, honor your father and your mother. And he told you why. That your days may be long upon the land which the Lord your God give you. You see? I want to remind, you know, that's true on so many levels. I want to remind white people, remember that, you evangelicals that you call yourself. Are you honoring George Washington and Thomas Jefferson them with the garbage you putting down now? And you about to lose your land. You got snakes all through your garden, man. You got people in Congress openly breaking the law. These people just brought an impeachment proceeding against the director or the attorney general, the deputy attorney general, for the purpose of obstructing justice. And then got somebody on there talking about, well, they can't be investigated for obstruction as long as they in Congress. That's a lie. What congressmen doing going in jail if they can't be investigated? If you know, you done had some of them sitting up in jail. You better quit letting these people tell you that people are above the law. But anyway, you getting spoiled. I'm just telling you. You better quit lying to yourself. You better quit letting people lie to you. There was a time if you caught the president in a lie, that alone, especially if it was dealing with something that is pertinent to national security, that's an impeachable offense. Just because there ain't never been a special election to re-elect a president, that don't mean that there should not be one. But anyway, so you got these people sitting up there talking about impeaching the deputy director, the deputy attorney general. Impeaching him for what? For doing his job? Huh? But I'm out of that. You know, I mean, it is. I've learned to make sure that when you're dealing with another man's house, it's okay to warn him that his house is on fire. You know, but if you after you warned him that his house is on fire and you discover that he the one setting it on fire, well, ain't none of your business. Huh? So if you want to set your own house on fire, that's up to you. But I did tell you now, I told you what these boys was about. I've been told you that Grover Norquist told you. But anyway, let's get back to WD and what happened to the nation, where the messenger said that a very beautiful people that has been marred and spoiled. Now you looking at the spoiler here. You remember the messenger said he needed a wrecker and a builder? Well, you see, WD wrecked it. Huh? Watch how he confesses to planning to wreck it. Now just listen. I like to give everybody justice. If you think that I'm how many of y'all think that I'm spinning this? You know, when you spin something, you make it appear to be something that it ain't. Okay. So you believe I'm telling you the truth. I'm not putting no spin on this. Okay. Now just listen.
Which he calls the white man's army. Wallace Muhammad was charged with draft evasion and in 1961 began serving a 3-year prison sentence.
I was in San Francisco Federal Correctional Institution, free, away from family, away from the temple of Islam's demands on my time. I'm free. I was in San Francisco Federal Correctional Institution, free, away from family, away from the temple of Islam's demands on my time. I'm free.
Now, I played that more than once. I recorded that part more than once so that you could hear what he thought of the nation. He considered himself free when he was in jail. Let's listen.
Free from the contradictions of the nation's faith, Wallace Muhammad was left alone to face himself.
Certain ideas that would come under theology had to come sort of attached to me. I had to throw it out. You have a nice garment, you really like this garment. And it's a strong sentimental attachment to it, you know?
See, he was lying now. Hey, the garment, meaning the teachings, he talking about he liked it and it was attractive. No, he never did like the teachings. He had already confessed that when he was 12 or 13, he stood up and prayed and he said, "Oh Allah, if I'm not seeing you correctly, would you please help me to see you correctly?" Now that was an indictment by him against what the messenger was teaching. What would make him say a prayer like that? Relatives said, "Boy, your dad's teaching hate against white people and all this kind of stuff." And that man that he talking about, God, came in the person of Master Farama. That man was not God. And that's what, when your parents teach you to respect them, you can't help but respect all adults that are their age. I mean, my friend's daddy was like my daddy. If I call him Mr. McFrazier. And it was always a respect there. Mr. Hoffman, Mrs. Hoffman, Ms. McFrazier, Mr. Martz. All of their parents got the same respect that my daddy got from me. And so here, his daddy was the messenger of God. Other adults who were not messengers of God was contradicting his daddy to him behind his daddy's back. Which made him wind up. Is somebody spraying some stuff in it? Is that door closed? Get some other kind of spray. That stuff cuts my wind off. But anyway, the young man, he listening to these people, and they know who they look. Let me tell you something. You know what wolves do? You know what lions do? You know what tigers and all them beasts of prey, predators, they don't try to go find the grown, strong thing. They find the weak thing, the babies. Look what happened down there on the border. People took them people's babies and sent them off somewhere. Them babies don't know what's going on. Them babies can't say, "Take me back to my parents. I'm going." The minute they ain't nobody looking, they jump up and run off. They ain't jump up and run off where? They can't. I heard a lady finally call it what it is. The government is kidnapping children. But anyway, now WD, he up there, as good as saying I was, when I was in the penitentiary, I was free. Huh? That's how much he hated the Nation of Islam and what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was teaching. Now, listen.
But it's getting old, got hope. Everybody's seeing hope. So you're not going out there. See, I'm not going out anymore with this stuff. I have to do this as much as I like it.
So, because he didn't understand the teachings, he saw holes in it. Well, no holes in the teachings. It was holes in his understanding of the teachings. But instead of him talking to the teacher, he listened to the detractors of the teacher. But I'm proof of that. The same teaching that WD said there was holes in, there was a lot of inconsistencies in, because I held on to it. Allah blessed me. Instead of, when I didn't understand a thing, instead of calling his messenger a liar and joining with the detractors, I just start searching the scriptures and I start searching his teachings. Because I had experienced too much. Look, you cannot receive good from evil. That just don't happen. Nope. Here I was looking at myself, even right now. Do you know, I can, here I'll be 68 this year. Do you know I can get up and sprint and run like I used to when I was younger? I can still do that. That is nobody's credit for that but the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And it ain't no way he could have put me in a position to lengthen my life if God hadn't taught him. For the first time in my life, I understood fasting and did it. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught me that. He taught me that true baptism had nothing to do with physical water. But it has to do with taking the mind of a man and taking me into the Holy Scriptures, which I didn't understand. And then he didn't just take me into one, he took me into all three great books and showed me that they are one. And he took me in there where I didn't understand, and he brought me up to understanding of a certain amount of it. And that's the real baptism. That's what I do to you. I'm baptizing you with fire. There can be no light where there is no fire. He maketh his angel spirits and his ministers a what? Flame of fire. And I'm baptizing you with fire and the Holy Ghost. The spoken word. You can't read the printed word. You needed someone to speak that printed word in a way that you could understand it. And when I speak the word, you don't see the word, you hear the word. It's a ghost to you. And if it's the Holy Scripture, it's the Holy Ghost. Do you understand? Now, it ain't my fault that you don't accept that. You got your own way of thinking about things, and I ain't finna get into that with you. But I am giving you Allah's understanding. Now, you want your own, you go on with your own. Now, let's see here. Let's listen to WD a little more.
The doorway. And the most difficult thing was to say that all Elijah Muhammad is not the messenger of God. I'm the messenger of Allah. That was very difficult. But I had to say that. And the most difficult thing was to say that all Elijah Muhammad is not the messenger of God. I'm the messenger of Allah. That was very difficult. But I had to say that.
Why did he have to say that? Because he was already hooked up with them people overseas there, you see. They didn't believe in the messenger. And then they come to him and tell him that the messenger was no messenger. And if you're a Muslim, you have to say that. Huh? So, listen.
The most difficult thing was to say that our Elijah Muhammad is not the messenger of God, our messenger of Allah. That was very difficult. But I had to say that. Now, I'm not only having difficulty saying my father's no more this high figure here in religion and bringing him down to a low level with preachers and reformers rather than as the messenger of God. But I'm happy.
Now remember, he stood up there at Savior's Day and he said that my father has a heart and a history that makes it only permissible for God himself to judge him and not me. Now, ain't that what he said? Well, he doing it again, huh? Just listen.
So the Jews rejecting what they told me about myself, that you were chosen before you were born. So now that's a high faith for me too.
Who is the they that told him that? It certainly wasn't the messenger. See how they have been talking to WD? Yeah. You know, they say a whole lot of things, don't they? Boy, they is something. And you know, and they gets around. But people say, you know, they say so and so and such and so and so. But you can go to the East Coast and they is on the East Coast. You go to the West Coast and somebody say, you know, they say they is everywhere, ain't it? Then when you invite them to come in and say it to your face, then it's let's find a hiding place. Is that right? Got plenty to say. Or they'll say, thinking they talking past you. You ask them a question and they'll fix it up in their mind what they mean. And then they will say something thinking they talking past you and think you don't know it. You know, sometimes I'll call people on it and sometimes I just let them think I don't know. And that, you know, just, you know, I hear a whole lot of things that I don't tell you. So, you know, you ain't talking over my head. It's just that when you are not man or woman enough to own what you say, it tells me something about you. You see? So listen.
I'm chosen before I was born, and I'm supposed to be one of three doing this great work. God in the person, not in the flesh. Elijah Muhammad, the messenger of God. And me.
But the messenger didn't tell him that. But they told him. Do you understand? Now listen to it.
But Wallace Muhammad had his own agenda. Almost immediately, he began moving the community towards Orthodox Islam.
See? Now, he had his what? His own agenda. But they stood up there at Savior's Day 1975 pretending that he agreed with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Right? But he didn't. Listen to this.
How I brought about the change of transformation, it was finding first something from those people that they respected, those high figures that they respected, Mr. Barack and Elijah Muhammad. I got whatever they had given me to do the job with. I took that first. And then I added to that, I built upon that. And that's how it was done. I didn't come to them and telling them that this is a lie. And, no, that wouldn't work. They throw me out again. And I wouldn't blame them.
See? He, in his heart, It was all a lie. But he couldn't tell us that. Because he know we'd ran him out of there. So he come pretending that he believe as you believe. As when they meet those who believe, they say, we believe. And when they are alone with their devils, their evil thoughts, they say, surely we are with you. We were only mocking. We really with you. Huh? You know, when you mock someone, you pretend to be like them. You know how somebody, we all did it at some point. And at least I ain't gonna say we all did it, but me and my brothers, we used to mock our daddy when he wasn't around. And Lance, get in here. And every now and then he catch us and he look at us. But, we was mocking our daddy, mocking him, like a mock court, pretending to be a court when it really wasn't. Do you understand? And so, but anyway, you heard him. You heard WD confess, right? That he didn't believe.
Wallace Muhammad had his own agenda. Almost immediately, he began moving the community towards Orthodox Islam.
I brought about the things of transformation.
Now you remember, he started moving the nation of Islam towards what? A very beautiful people who have been marred and what? Spoiled. The minute you tried to mix the teachings of what they called Islam in the East, when you tried to mix that with what we had in the West here, you spoiled our teachings. As the messenger said, we are bringing to you a new Islam, the new world of Islam, not the old world of Islam, but a new world of Islam. That's what he said. But what happens when you trying to, instead of carrying on with the new, you start trying to mix it with the old? You become spoiled. So the messenger said this concerning being spoiled. He said, a very beautiful people that has been marred and spoiled.
Very beautiful. Yes, sir. That have been marred and spoiled. Yes, sir. But as you come into Islam, Allah will gradually restore your beauty of health. Yes, sir.
You heard that? He said, but as you come into Islam, Allah will gradually restore your beauty appearance. That's why I told you, if you don't follow me, you're not a Muslim. You got to come into Islam now. For I'm the only one who's teaching a religion that nobody can condemn. But it condemns everybody else's religion. If that's not so, bring your religion in here and let's hear it. Let's discuss it and see if mine don't condemn it. How in the world you gonna come into the presence of the Lord himself and inform the Lord himself of your religion? The Son of Man didn't find faith on earth. The Son of Man brings faith to the earth. That's what I've done. I've brought faith And if it was not the truth, you would have found in it many discrepancies. You would have found many points of contention that you could contend with me. You can't contend with me on nothing I say. If you can, let me hear your contention. It's like this man who, you remember, you've heard many people claim that Islam is not this and Islam ain't that. How come they don't come in and tell me what Islam ain't? See, because I'm not like you. If a person disagrees with me, I listen to him. That's the only way I can know whether their disagreement has merit. And then they may make a statement. I say, wait a minute, what you just said there, where's your proof of that? Then they get mad. You know, whenever someone tells you something and all you ask them is for a little proof of what they're saying and they get upset, it's because they're lying to you. It's just like with me and my followers. If my followers start, some of my followers start asking me questions about things that I'm teaching instead of growing, I'm not angry because I'm lying to you. I'm angry because you lied to me. You said you was my follower. Well, then why you don't have faith in me? You ever tried to teach somebody who didn't think you knew what you was talking about? You can't teach them. Every teacher that you ever had, you had, as the student, you had to believe that teacher knew better than you. The minute you started thinking that the teacher didn't know what they're talking about, you stopped paying attention. Every other word, you stand up there trying to argue with them. They put you out the class. Now, I don't blame them. So, but you haven't heard no Ku Klux Klan or nobody else condemn me. If anything, they told you, you better follow me. The devil is very careful when dealing with Almighty God. He's very careful. You the one think that the devil ain't got no respect for God. The devil got more respect for God than you do. He know where his power came from. So we are here bringing you the truth. As the messenger said, as you come into Islam, Allah will gradually restore your beauty appearance. Well, who is this Allah that's going to do that if it ain't me? It ain't my fault because those who was in the nation didn't humble themselves and let me guide them. I could have guided them. If they had accepted me, they'd all been rich now. It was enough of them. I could have been making all of them rich. And finally put an end to them walking around in here just with their mouth running and no consequential behavior. Don't you see you out on those streets selling no bean pie? If you want to sell bean pies, open up a bakery. You want to be in business? Go on in business. Don't be ducking the tax man. Pay your taxes. Handle your business. No, you want to be a hustler all your life. I'm not here for hustling. I don't know where you're going to make yourself equal to other people running countries. You ain't even thinking about running your own business. Talking about too much headache. You get behind me, it won't be no too much headache. I'll show you how to get around them overcharging you and all of this kind of stuff. The messenger showed us how to do it. Order your goods from other nations. They will deal with you until this one learns some sense. And he going to learn something pretty soon. If he want to be here, he going to learn some sense. You're going to show me some respect. If you want to keep what you got, you better start showing me respect. Now,
That's right. That's right. You will become a beautiful nation. Yes, sir. As never before lived on the earth. Yes, sir.
now, if you was already a nation, why did he say you will become a beautiful nation as never before lived on the earth? He told you what he was teaching was a foundation. I'm the builder. We look for a city whose builder is God. Who is God? The one that the truth is with. You know somebody else that is the truth is with like me? Do you? Point them out. I'm listening. Hear this man here. Let me show you an example here. This is somebody named Ragreen. R-A-G-R-E-E-N. Ragreen 79. He says this, and he left this on our video with me and Mr. Thomas Robb, the national director of the Ku Klux Klan. Well, then, why is this on here with, with Eric Muhammad? And he said, the Son of Man displayed far more respect for his white guests, including KKK member Thomas Robb, than he displayed for Minister Eric Muhammad. You know, people, because they don't understand, they make judgments based on their misunderstanding. Eric Muhammad was trying to regurgitate teachings of a man that he didn't even follow. I don't even think Eric Muhammad was old enough to be a member of the Nation of Islam. Then he want to come in there trying to argue with me about the Nation of Islam when he wasn't in it. Do you know how unintelligent that is? But anyway, I'll finish reading it. He said, the Son of Man displayed far more respect for his white guests, including KKK member Thomas Robb, than he displayed for Minister Eric Muhammad. His white guests are not interrupted before completing their points. Well, what if your point is wrong? Here this man trying to teach me the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He wasn't in the nation, and I was. And he's misquoting and misteaching the teachings. And now you upset because I stopped him? He didn't have no point. Anytime, let me tell you something else. Anytime you hear a person call himself a Muslim, referring to white people as cracker, and referring to them as honky, or referring to any of those what you call slang disrespectful terms. They're not a Muslim. Show me one tape where you ever heard the Honorable Elijah Muhammad refer to white people as cracker, honky, or any of that. And you never will. Because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was a civilized man. The messenger said, if you say there goes the devil, then don't pattern yourself after the devil. The devil nicknamed you. You know what a nickname is? If you look up the word Old Nick, you will find that that's a name that means the devil. That's another name for the devil. So a nickname is naming people like the devil do, calling them out of their name. Do you understand? Now, you see, ain't nobody saying nothing to me. They do all they talk behind my back. And I do all mine to their face. Which one of us is being truthful? Then it says, Thomas Robb was allowed to make racist, false statements without being interrupted and muted. No, he wasn't. I just let him make his statement before I got on him about it. You can't get on a man before you hear what he said. Do you understand? You know, but when a man saying something about what I believe in and what I teach and what I know the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught, when a man say something and say attribute it to him that he didn't say and that he didn't mean by what he said, I stop him and correct him right there. None will be allowed to speak that day but him whom the beneficent permits, and he speaks aright. I knew what Mr. Robb was when he came in there. He was the director of the Ku Klux Klan. You think I didn't expect him to have racist attitude? So I let him get it out. And then I told him about it. And before it was over with, he toned himself down and agreed to come back again. And that next time he came back, he was far more respectful, even though he respected me the first time. You know, until like he said, he won't have no trouble sleeping. I told him, you won't sleep at all. You keep that gate you going. And he corrected himself. You get away with disrespecting me because Allah is merciful to you because you justified to be crazy. Because you've been up under the devil and you ain't had nothing but devil teaching. But the longer I talk to you, the more you're going to be held accountable for how you act with me. So this is what is written. But anyway, he said Thomas Robb was allowed to make racist, false statements without being interrupted and muted. Then he said this discussion was disgraceful, talking about the discussion between myself and Eric Muhammad, who called himself Minister Eric Muhammad. I could have asked him one question if he'd have been civil. You know, why did the messenger say was some ministers coming after him? The messenger ain't said no minister was coming after him. He said, ain't nobody coming behind me but God. I better tell you that. So what does that say about all these people who claim to be carrying on the messenger's teachings? What does that make them? Liars. In the first place, you cannot carry on the messenger's teachings when the messenger ain't there no more. Why? Because what do you do when you come to a question about something that he taught? You can't go ask him. So you go by whose understanding then? Yeah. You liar. Like people say, well, you carrying on the messenger's teaching? No, I'm not carrying on the messenger's teaching. I'm carrying on my teachings. I'm the Son of Man. Period. So the brother Jamar answered him for me. He told him, he said, I told the Son of Man what you said. And he told me to invite you to call in and point out the disrespect that you feel he showed to Eric Muhammad. Since you feel that he was wrong, you can point it out in front of everyone, including the Son of Man's entire audience. He will be on the air tomorrow night, Wednesday, starting at 8 p.m. Central Time. Called the teleconference room and he gave him both numbers. We ain't heard from him since that. Yeah. Now this fellow named Christopher Barrow, on the video, the Son of Man speaks on Don King and Minister Farrakhan. You remember when they were standing up there supporting Donald Trump? The brother said, this is worthy of more comments. And he wanted me to say more than I said. And so I told the brother to tell him that the Son of Man told me to tell you, and I quote, when you see things as plain as that, the video tells it all. They're standing up there supporting a man who doesn't care about black people and doesn't care about America. Obviously, they got paid off. Since they aren't coming out and saying anything, I just left it alone. I was hoping they would get mad and say something to me, but I guess they knew better than to go down that road. And so they pretended not to hear this. Do you understand? So, you know, that's all a wise man will do when it comes to me. If I say something about him, the wise one, he just shut up. You know, once you listen to me and what Allah has given to me, it becomes very evident to you that you can't argue with me. You'll never win. You see? All you wind up doing is getting yourself in trouble with the one who appointed me. So now let's go into this. I done showed you enough of that. Gave you that to think over. Now let's show you some things about this stuff that's going on in the news here.
Home for joining us this hour for what is going to be a little bit of a special edition of the Rachel Maddow Show. And by that I mean we're going to break our usual sort of show format tonight. And the reason we are doing that is because I think we are at a place in the news right now that's a little bit beyond where I can help explain what's happening now. And particularly what's likely to happen next and how serious this moment is for the country. Those are the things that I sort of see as the core of my job. But we're at a moment in the news right now where I feel like I need help to do my job. I need to bring to bear on what's going on in today's news some much more serious brain power than I can bring alone, and in particular, some much more serious experience on national security issues. So I'm going to explain here what's going on right now in the news that I think requires us to bring in the sort of experts who you are going to hear from later on in the show in just a couple of minutes. But then after after I tell you why I'm approaching it this way today, we are going to bring those folks on, and they're going to stay here for a while for the rest of this hour. So that's just your fair warning. This is going to be a slightly different way than we usually do things here at the Rachel Maddow Show at this bat time in this bat channel. But here's where it starts. It starts last week at the summit between President Trump and Vladimir Putin of Russia. And you believe that was only a week ago? That was only a week ago. There was a landmark moment in the question and answer period at the summit where the two presidents were asked questions by reporters. And a Reuters reporter named Jeff Mason stood up and asked a very direct and a very important question to Vladimir Putin. You probably remember this moment if you watched the summit that day or if you watched any of the news coverage thereafter. But just for the record, this is actually what happened in that moment.
Options abound, and they all can be found in the appropriate.
Did you want President Trump to win the election, and did you direct any of your officials to help him do that?
Да, я хотел, чтобы он выиграл. Because he talked about bringing the U.S.-Russia relationship back to normal.
Okay, so that happened in real life in front of a room full of people, and it was covered live around the world. While this was happening, I had a flight.
Now, Putin don't know why he acknowledged that he had helped Trump himself. Making a lie out of Trump for saying Putin didn't interfere. Bearing witness that Mr. Mueller and all of them called it right. Is that right? But, you know, I told you that the only people that support a liar is other liars. Now, anyone who could see, that's where you messed up at when you know, if you are a patriot, you know, I mean, white people, you're supposed to know the power of the media. You are supposed to know who you are selling if you're going to sell your network to someone, you should at least do enough research to know whether they are patriotic or not. But you all went to sleep on the watch. You don't let people come into your Congress and make laws, present bills and make laws that purposely set you up for people to use your airways, use the public airways for propaganda, which used to be against the law. You had better sense than that. If you give people freedom of the press and freedom of speech, but especially freedom of the press, you had a right to demand that press be true. As long as what you're saying you can prove is true, speak. But you don't have the right. You used to not have the right to get out knowingly and purposely lying to the American people and calling it news. When that law was slipped in to make it legal, to if people wanted to lie, there's up. Let the buyer beware. Let the public beware. Huh? That was a sign that you were under attack. And you were not under attack so much from external, but you was being attacked from inside of your own country by people who were either sent in or had been flipped and rapidly bought and paid for and used. That's why you should check the history of some of these people who are in Congress that just popped up out of nowhere with all these credentials and whatnot. And you'll find that most of them that's in there was just sent in there, put in there. Because I really don't believe that a patriotic American, I don't care what you got on him, if he was a patriot in the first place, and I'm speaking as I'm not a traitor, I don't care what you got on me. I'm not going to help you tear up my country. Tell it. But you're not going to blackmail me with nothing to make me look the other way just because you're going to tell some indiscretion I had or whatever. Don't tell it. But no, I'm not going to help you harm my people nor my country. Now, that is the way a patriot thinks. That's why I say these people, you got something else going on here. That's what that Grover Norquist pledge woke me up to. When he got out there boasting about if they sign the pledge, they get to govern. And he said, and I helped make that happen. Well, ain't that something? You know, you putting too much trust in electronic things. You better go back and look at the Terminator. You know, you trust in your vote to a machine that you don't know what's coming out on the other side. I'm telling you, you better, well, suit yourself. Maybe, you so full of racism that you can't see straight. So you go on, but don't say I didn't try to warn you. Now, so I wanted to remind you of what this man said about you. But first, listen to what Ms. Maddow was during her time was reading off of the news.
I was supposed to catch that morning. I missed my flight and I ended up unexpectedly driving a really long way during the whole press conference. I listened to that whole thing live on the radio as it happened. I remember it was only a week ago. This really happened. I heard it in my car. You saw it if you watched the news coverage thereafter or if you watched it live. Every reporter in the room there witnessed it. Let's just nail this down. Let's do this one more time, except this time we'll put up the transcript of what happened right next to the Q&A.
President Putin, did you want President Trump to win the election, and did you direct any of your officials to help him do that?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Because he talked about bringing the U.S.-Russia relationship back to normal.
Now, here's the reason I'm trying to nail this down as a recognizable part of our lived, shared reality as humans. Just put the transcript up there again. All right, this is the transcript of what you just saw happen at that press conference. Like, if you look at a real transcript of what happened.
Now, I'm going to read it. It says, the reporter asked, President Putin, did you want President Trump to win the election? And did you direct any of your officials to help him do that? President Putin answered, yes, I did. Yes, I did. Because he talked about bringing the U.S.-Russia relationship back to normal. Now, most of them, they ain't even talking about what normal meant. the Russia and U.S. relationship being brought back to normal meant that when the U.S. and Russia had what he calls normal relationships, Russia wasn't even called Russia. It was called the USSR, the Union of the Soviet Socialist Republic. And what was normal was that Russia, the Soviet Union was Russia was a superpower, and the United States was a superpower. Well, how does Russia become a superpower again? Since the United States got the majority of Europe in the G7. Break that union up. And then Russia can try to get them back into, they can start annexing countries and going and asserting themselves again and become the Soviet Union again. Do you understand? And the United States will have to then begin the Cold War all over again. That's the normal relationship between Russia and the U.S. Start the Cold War all over again. Do you understand? And so these people, they think they're talking over the heads of the American people. And for the most part, they are. Because your reaction is proof that you don't hear what's really being said. You didn't hear Grover Norquist when he told you he was trying to put your government in somebody's pocket. You didn't hear that. But anyway, now let's see what Rachel have to say here on this next thing here.
This is it. President Putin, did you want President Trump to win the election? Did you direct any of your officials to help him do that? Yes, I did. Yes, I did, because he talked about bringing the U.S.-Russia relationship back to normal. That's the real transcript of what actually happened. Now, as of right now, tonight, here.
If you can zoom in on that, you zoom in on it so that the people can read it too. You know, don't just have it sitting there and people can't read it. Zoom in on it.
It's the official White House transcript of that same moment. See that?
See, now that was poorly done by them, but I'll read it for you. Now, this is the White House transcript of that same thing. It says, and did you direct any of the officials to help him do that? That's it. And then he said, President Putin, as interpreted, he says, yes, I did. Yes, I did. You can't hardly make it out. I can't make out what they're saying, but it didn't. They didn't. They chopped it up. They didn't put the whole thing there. Down there in that little left-hand corner there. That's what the White House got out there now. They removed the real question and the real answer. So let's let it play some more.
In the White House transcript, look at what is missing. In the White House transcript, we still got President Putin's answer. Yeah.
Now I see it. It says, because he talked about.
I did. Yes, I did. But the White House just dropped the question that he was actually answering there. The White House transcript has no reference to Jeff Mason from Reuters asking President Putin, did you want President Trump to win the election?
So now the Trump administration is lying and putting their lies down in the history of what happened in the meetings with Putin. Not putting it on .gov now that, you know, that's what really happened. So, you know, I mean,
not in the White House transcript. Now, reporter Yuri Friedman at the Atlantic magazine was first to report on this anomaly in the White House transcript right after it happened. And sometimes transcripts are wrong. They're very rarely wrong in such a high-profile, simple thing, right? But that moment probably got more immediate attention than anything else that happened in that remarkable Q&A with reporters. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not unheard of for a White House transcript to be inaccurate. And when that happens, there's sort of an informal process where reporters point out something that's wrong or something that's missing or something that's mischaracterized in the transcript, and then the White House later makes a fix to the official transcript. It happens not all the time, but it happens fairly frequently. It's not that big a deal. So after this incorrect transcript came out from the Trump and Putin summit with the question, did you want President Trump to win the election? With that gone from the transcript, the Atlantic published this criticism, noting that the transcript was wrong. And after the Atlantic first published this account, a lot of other news outlets picked it up, pointed out that the White House transcript was wrong. The White House is apparently not correcting it. It is still incorrect tonight. The incorrect transcript, dropping out the question when Putin is asked if he wanted Trump to win the election, and he said, yes, I did. The incorrect transcript still stands tonight. And we can report tonight that the White House video of this exchange has also skillfully cut out that question from the Reuters reporter as if it didn't happen. So I'll show you them back to back here. I'll show you the real one first, and then I'll show you what the White House has posted online instead. Here first is the real one.
Options abound, and they all can be found in an appropriate.
Did you want President Trump to win the election, and did you direct any of your officials to help him do that?
Yes, I did.
That's the real one. Now watch what the White House has posted online instead.
Options abound, and they all can be found in an appropriate legal framework.
And did you direct any of your officials to help him do that?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
They just dropped it out. First part of his question, President Putin, did you want President Trump to win the election? They just dropped that out. What the White House has disappeared from the official U.S. government record of that meeting, both in print and in their video of the meeting, is President Putin answering in the affirmative when he's asked if he wanted Trump to win the election. And just for kicks, if you want to check out the Russian government version of this, their transcript, their supposed transcript of this event, in the Russian transcript, Jeff Mason from Reuters not only doesn't ask his full question, Jeff Mason from Reuters doesn't even exist in the Russian transcript. See where that red arrow is? They've just completely taken out that whole part of the Q&A where the Reuters reporter asked that question. At least the White House had the courtesy to leave in half of his question, so you can get a misleading answer. The Russians just disappeared him altogether. The Cumberland transcript, they skip over that entire exchange. So, a critical exchange deleted from the transcript, a reporter's question edited out of the videotape. The U.S. government essentially following the Kremlin's playbook and maintaining that something we all saw happen with our own eyes, we all heard happen with our own ears, has nevertheless disappeared, right? Like old political opponents being airbrushed out of photos, right? It's weird, right? It's creepy. Turns out it wasn't a mistake. Turns out it was on purpose. Well, now today we got the inevitable payoff. We got the inevitable next step from our president on this point. Now, if you've watched this show before, you might know that I don't generally make a habit of reporting on the president's public pronouncements, particularly those that he makes on Twitter. But with that said, I do think that you should see this from his Twitter feed today. He said, quote, "I'm very concerned that Russia will be fighting very hard to have an impact on the upcoming election. They'll be pushing very hard for the Democrats. They definitely don't want Trump." A week ago, live on television in front of hundreds of reporters, in a room full of hundreds of reporters, President Putin actually said, "I want Trump." You know that to be true. You will know that to be true as long as you can remember it. But if the official record never says that happened, if it's not there on the tape, if it's not there in the transcripts, how fast before that disappears from what is supposed to be recorded history?
Now, remember, there's even though they have that saying that you can fool all of the people some of the time and some of the people all the time. That's just a nice way of putting it. But you can't fool all the people all the time. Well, okay. You can lie and get away with it with some of the people. I should say with all of the people. Sometimes you can lie and get away with it with some people all the time. But you can't lie and get away with it with all the people all the time. Do you understand? Now, that's what's going on here. The people who were deceived into thinking that Trump was a breath of fresh air and he was going to get in there and shake up things and start doing things that's in the best interest of America. They got their blinders off now. If they were truthfully supporting him because they truly believed that he cared about America and he was wanting to put America first and all that kind of thing, well, they know better now. Do you understand? But you got people, I mean, those are where it goes in. You can fool all the people. You can lie to all of the people and get away with it some of the time. But remember, Donald Trump, him and the people that he worked for, they've studied and they see that there are some people that really don't care nothing about the country. No way. Because they ain't got nothing and too lazy to get up and do something. So they could care less about America. So it don't make no difference what he do to hurt America. As far as they're concerned, they ain't got nothing to lose. You understand? So whatever lie he tell ain't gonna make them no difference because they don't care nothing about the country no way. You understand? All right. And so those are the people, as he said, he could go out there and shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and he wouldn't lose no support. Right? Okay. And but you got the people now, and those are the liars who, you know, it's like a man who tell you he care about America. Yet he's flying a flag that declared war on America. Yeah, that rebel flag, if you flying it, you flying a flag that declared war on the Union or the United States. So no matter what you say, your actions show that you don't give a damn about America. Or the United States, I should say. You like that man who, what was that fella's name? That said he wouldn't care if he would never hear the name United States of America ever again. And they rode his behind around on the ship. And see, I know my history. I may not remember his name, but I sure remember what happened to him. Was it Nathan Hale? Huh? No. No, Nathan Hale was the one that said that he regretted that he had one life. I forgot that man's name. Huh? But anyway, they rode him around on the ship. And anytime a newspaper came out, they cut the hole in it where America, the United States, was mentioned. And after a while, he asked for that. And then when he got that, it dawned on him that was a stupid thing to say. But anyway, here you got all these people who claim to love America and flying a flag that is the antithesis, represents just the opposite of what America was about. Huh? You can't say nothing about my flag. My flag is in your Pledge of Allegiance. One nation under God. You have no doubt that the flag that I'm flying along next to yours, that's a flag that God can only take credit for. The sun, moon, and star. And before the making of those sun, moon, and star, we didn't have nothing but that triple darkness. The absence of the sun, the absence of the moon, the absence of the stars put us in triple darkness. And that's in the flag too. That's what that black represent. That we the one that when we got here wasn't no light. And we made light. We formed the light. That was my fathers that did that. So this is something that you notice. Ain't none of them can say nothing. Because what I just said is the absolute truth. If the rebel flag was flying over America now, you wouldn't even have no United States of America. You'd have the Confederate States that all agree to be countries to themselves. So this is, it's a one big, it's a joke for you to be talking about you care about the stars and stripes and you flying a Confederate flag. You a lie. You don't care nothing about the stars and stripes. You try to wrap yourself up in the flag like the people who, I remember the Native American, after he slaughtered a buffalo, he'd take some of the skin and the head, and he'd hollow it out, and then he'd dress up under it, would get him close to the buffalo so he could have a better hunting season. You wrap yourself up in the American flag, pretending to care about the flag when you really don't. Otherwise, you would not be trying to fly a flag that represented everything that America stands against. You liar. So anyway, you see, they ain't saying nothing. Come in here and defend yourself, flying that flag. Tell me it didn't represent the dismantling of the United States. That's why they call them the Union Army. And you're running around here pretending that you so upset because black athletes take a knee and show their disdain for black people being shot down by armed officers while they are unarmed. It don't make no difference who they are. They could be men, women, and babies. Then you got this clown in the White House, call them SOBs. And that's all he is, a clown. He done made a clown out of himself. Putin done made a clown out of him. Putin stood up there and as good as said, Donald Trump lying, I helped him. I put him in there. Can't you see I'm in control of him now? He as good as said that. Here, take this soccer ball on, boy. You have to give it to Putin. You know, he played them. You know, so and you know the sad part, even after you found out that this man is a puppet for him. Now you want to still talk about you support him. And got nerve enough to be talking about you want to impeach Mr. Rosenstein. Here you got all these crooks up there thinking that they can just do what they please. I'm waiting on the handcuffs to be slapped on all of them. I mean, obstruction of justice is obstruction of justice. It don't make no difference who's doing it. They took an oath to protect America, to protect the Constitution against all enemies, whether they are foreign or right here in Congress or in the White House or any place else. Slap the cuffs on them and take their behinds to jail. Now, let's see here. Let's put something else up here.
This is for Trump, former federal prosecutor Daniel Goldman, and former federal prosecutor and MSNBC legal analyst Barbara McQuaid. All right, let me start with my feeling about all this. I don't trust what's happening at face value. Like, I don't understand, seriously, I don't understand why the Trump folks waived privilege on this. I don't understand why.
Now, in the first place, all of us who know something about a lawyer and his client, all of us know that when lawyers and clients have communications with each other, all of that's privileged communication, and ain't no lawyer that's worth his salt going to give that up. Right? Now, that's why you know that when they've been telling us on the news that Trump and his lawyer waived privilege concerning these tapes, they had already taught us that, I remember, that attorney-client privilege is only when there's no violation of the law, when there's no violation of law. But when you talking about doing something that's illegal, then there is no privilege on that, right? And that's what they said. Now watch what this lawyer says here.
People seemed anxious, like the Trump people sort of seemed anxious to have the tape out there so they could provide a story about it. I don't really understand what Michael Cohen is doing it from a legal perspective, because if I were engaged in negotiations about being a cooperating witness, this is not the way I would handle it. So, like, you guys are people, excuse me, prosecutors. What do you make of what is going on?
Well, on the privilege issue, the only thing that to me makes any sense is that the special master signaled to Trump and Cohen, and Trump in particular, that she was going to find that this recording falls under the crime fraud exception to attorney-client privilege. And rather than endure a finding like that,
Which would be catastrophic.
which would be politically and publicly devastating, she gave them the opportunity to withdraw the privilege over their privilege assertion over.
Daniel, that is the first time. So
Now, Chris Matthews sitting up there acting like he didn't know that. But the fact of the matter is, when you know that the magistrate was going to find that there was no attorney-client privilege because y'all was plotting to break the law, and so that's like somebody when in Washington, especially in Washington, or in corporations, when people are getting ready to fire you, they say, well, you can hand in your resignation if you like. What is that to say? At least then it don't look like you got fired, right? Yeah, but they were going to fire. They fired you, but they let you save face by saying you resigned. So the master, the judge that they put over to do that, let them save face by saying, well, you can say that you waiving the, by saying you can waive the attorney-client privilege and whatnot. But no attorney would do that unless they just had to. Do you understand? Okay. So now it's something else that I want to go to here.
Me. Significant portion of it's capped by the House of Representatives. The successful impeachment of a Justice Department agent. In the United States House of Representatives. No, not against President Trump. Against Rod Rosenstein, the Deputy Attorney General. Republican members of Congress, led by Mark Meadows of North Carolina, Jim Jordan of Ohio, have filed the articles in what appears to be an obvious effort to sandbag the Mueller investigation, which Rosenstein oversees. According to records kept by the House of Representatives, the successful impeachment of a Justice Department official would be unprecedented. Here to help me understand what's at stake for Rosenstein and for the Mueller investigation, Jennifer Rubin, MSNBC contributor who writes the Right Turn column of the Washington Post, and Angelo Corazon, president of the Progressive Research and Information Center of Media Matters. Jennifer, this action today was preceded by an internal fight about whether they were going to do this, and they threatened to file it as a privileged resolution, which would force a vote on it. They didn't do that, so Ryan doesn't have to deal with it. But it's still somewhat shocking and remarkable that they have filed articles of impeachment against the Deputy Attorney General of the United States.
Yeah, a few weeks ago, we thought it was remarkable that Jim Jordan was losing it in a hearing, ranting and raving, interrupting poor Rod Rosenstein, but now they've gone the extra mile. It's funny that the Republicans have been saying, oh, you put the Democrats in charge, they're going to be running impeachment hearings, they're going to be disrupting business. The only ones talking about impeachment and impeachment without a scintilla of justification are, in fact, the Republicans. So, unfortunately, there's something called the speech and debate clause, which protects these gentlemen from liability, criminal or otherwise.
She's lying. Now, that's a lie. Can't no clause protect you from criminal actions. Now, did you hear what she kind of slipped in there? Listen to this.
Because of actions. Only ones talking about impeachment and impeachment without a scintilla of justification are, in fact, the Republicans. So, unfortunately, there's something called the speech and debate clause, which protects these gentlemen from...
Did you hear her say about the speech and debate clause? Well, if it's called the speech and debate clause, well, how does that exempt you from being investigated if you start trying to obstruct justice? Obstruction of justice, that's a whole different thing. If any clause that they put out there supposedly allows you to break the law and not be held accountable for it, then what you are saying is that clause holds you to be above the law as long as you are in that position. Now, you can't have it both ways. You can't on the one hand say that America is a nation of laws, and then on the other hand say that some people are above the law. The lawmakers definitely can't be above the law. They made the law, they got to be under the law. Do you understand? If that was the case, then every congressman that's ever been put in jail should be able to hide up under that debate and speech clause. But anyway, now watch this.
Liability, criminal or otherwise, because of actions they take in their official capacity. So they can't be sued.
When you take actions in your official capacity that are unwarranted and are for some felonious or I don't have to be a lawyer to know that you can abuse your authority. When you start abusing your authority, that don't just go for congressmen, that goes for police officers, that goes for lawyers, that goes for everybody who's of a profession, a doctor or whatever. Certainly he's protected under the law to practice medicine according to the book. But what happens when he deviates from normal practices of what is considered ethical and normal for doctors? Then he is sued. Then he is charged. Remember Dr. Kevorkian? He was helping people commit suicide, right? They found that that's a crime. Huh? He can't say he was practicing medicine. In his oath, he makes a promise to do no harm. I think helping somebody kill themselves is helping them harm themselves. Is that right? Okay. When a congressman gets sworn in, he takes an oath to do what? Uphold the Constitution of the United States. All of the laws that govern this country are based on the Constitution. Is that right? Well, then, how is he exempt when he obstructs justice and use his ability to his impeachment power to put forth a phony impeachment hearing to purposely undermine an investigation by the Justice Department? He's not upholding the Constitution. He's violating the Constitution. Is that right? I'm asking y'all that's listening, you know so much. Come in here and tell me what we are talking about. Show me what's wrong about what I'm saying. How are you taking oath to uphold the Constitution while you're violating it? And then say that you cannot be investigated, nor can you be charged for violating the Constitution. Then why were you made to take an oath to uphold it if you can't violate it no way? If your violation of it is immune to you being prosecuted or arrested for violating the Constitution, then why make you take an oath to uphold it? Yeah, I mean, that woman don't know what she's talking about there. If what she said is right, then Congress is above the law. And if the Congress don't have to respect the law, that's what it is to be above the law. It means you don't have to respect it. You can do what you please. And if they don't have to respect the law, then how can they demand that other people respect it? So how could what she say be true? And nobody corrected her on it. Just listen.
They can't be. So unfortunately, there's something called the speech and debate clause, which protects these gentlemen from liability, criminal or otherwise, because of actions they take in their official capacity. So they.
Justice Department official would be unprecedented. You're done.
Now listen to who she is. I mean, because that's just like me. I'm not a lawyer, but I got sense enough to know that what she said there just don't fly. Now, just listen. She ain't no lawyer either. Not according to the way he introduced her. She's a reporter for the Washington Post.
We understand what's at stake for Rosenstein and for the Mueller investigation. Jennifer Rubin, MSNBC contributor, writes the right-turn column of the Washington Post, and Angelo Kurz.
She's an MSNBC contributor and an analyst for the Washington Post. Now, I ain't hear him say she's an attorney. Huh? I mean, she can give her opinion. Nothing wrong with that. But she reading that clause, she got to be reading it wrong. When I say reading it, I mean understanding what it says wrong. No such thing as a congressman that can't be arrested and investigated. The whole nature of the American justice system is check and balance. Everybody can be investigated. Anybody can be investigated.
President of the Progressive Research and Information Center of Media Matters. Jennifer, this action today was preceded by the internal fight about whether they were going to do this, and they threatened to file it as a privileged resolution, which would force a vote on it. They didn't do that, so Ryan doesn't have to deal with it. But it's still somewhat shocking and remarkable that they have filed articles of impeachment against the Deputy Attorney General of the United States.
Yeah, a few weeks ago, we thought it was remarkable that Jim Jordan was losing it in a hearing, ranting and raving, interrupting poor Rod Rosenstein, but now they've gone the extra mile. It's funny that the Republicans have been saying, oh, you put the Democrats in charge, they're going to be running impeachment hearings, they're going to be disrupting business. The only ones talking about impeachment and impeachment without a scintilla of justification are, in fact, the Republicans. So, unfortunately, there's something called the speech and debate clause, which protects these gentlemen from liability, criminal or otherwise, because of actions they take in their official capacity. So they can't be sued or they can't be investigated. They can't be investigated for obstruction of justice. But make no mistake, that is what they are doing. They are
obstruction of justice is not in the performance of their duty. That's breaking the law. No, you can't punish them for doing lawful things in the performance of their duty. But once they start doing things that's against the law, well, now they ain't in their duty. They done left duty and went into law breaking. Do you understand? All right. Now, until you show me something different, I'm going to stick with what I just said. Now, let's go to something else.
Their language to try to discredit the investigation. Statement today from National Security Advisor John Bolton saying the meeting should only take place, quote, after the Russia witch hunt, his words, witch hunt, is over. Bolton was using the president's language to try to discredit the investigation of Special Counsel Robert Mueller. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo was getting ready to address the Senate Foreign Relations Committee in what appeared to be an attempt to clean up the unsightly spectacle of last week's Helsinki summit.
Has the president told you what he and President Putin discussed in their 2-hour closed-door meeting in Helsinki? Presidents have a prerogative of choose who's in meetings or not. I'm confident you've had private one-on-one meetings in your life as well. You've chosen that setting as the most efficient way.
See how he's talking fast? The reason he's talking fast is because the answer was a simple no. He have not told me what what he talked about. If the president had any intentions on telling anybody what he talked to Putin about, he wouldn't have went in there by himself. Do you understand? Now, what he was in there by himself for was because he couldn't talk to Putin no other way. He didn't have no back channel or whatnot. So they figured out a way to do it. Just go and have a private meeting with Putin and call it a summit. You understand? All right. Now, watch here. See, in order to support what Mr. Trump is doing, Mr. Pompeo got to make himself a liar too. Now, just watch this.
A simple question. I can't eat up my 7 minutes, Mr. Secretary. The president was very clear with Vladimir Putin about U.S. positions. They're the U.S. positions that are the Trump administration's positions, and he spoke about them very firmly and clearly when he met with Vladimir Putin.
That wasn't what he was asked. He was asked, did the president inform him of what he talked to Vladimir Putin about? The answer is actually no. Huh? Now he want to change it to, you know, it's this and it's that. But that didn't answer the question. And by not answering the question, he answered it. No, he ain't told him nothing.
And he told you that. Senator, I'm telling you what he had a conversation with Vladimir Putin about.
See? When he asked him, so he told you that? Senator, I'm telling you that. No, he didn't tell him that. He's sitting up there trying to clean it up. Now watch this.
And I'm telling you what U.S. policy is today. I understand, Senator, I understand the game that you're playing. No, Mr. Secretary, with all due respect, I don't.
Now, he want to sit there and tell a senator of the United States that he playing a game. When it comes, Mr. Pompeo knows better than that. The security of America is not a game. But just listen.
Appreciate you characterizing my questions. My questions is to get to the truth. We don't know what the truth is. And the only way that we will know what the truth is, what transpired in those 2 hours, in a highly amazing period of time to spend alone, one-on-one, is by understanding at least that if you were briefed by the president, what he told you. I don't think that's unfair to know.
Senator Tim Kaine followed a similar line of questioning, but wondering what Trump said to Putin in that private meeting.
General Joseph F. Dunford, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, as of Monday, Dunford still hadn't been briefed on Helsinki, even though it directly affects more than 1 million troops Dunford overseas. Do you know why there have been no briefing of General Dunford about the discussions that took place at Helsinki? Senator, you have to ask the Department of Defense or Chairman Dunford.
Joining me now, Senator Tim Kaine, Democrat from Virginia and a member of the Foreign Relations Committee. Senator, what did you learn from Mike Pompeo today?
Chris, not a lot. I mean, we hadn't been briefed on the Singapore summit with Kim Jong-un. We hadn't been briefed on the Helsinki summit with Vladimir Putin. And what we learned today was really not much. On Singapore, we got no information of any kind to back up the president's claim that we don't need to worry about North Korea as a nuclear threat. In fact, when we asked about the threshold question, has North Korea taken step one, being willing to disclose or inventory what it has, the answer was, well, we can't tell you that. So nothing there. On Helsinki, I think the thing that was maybe the most powerful was, again, we got very little information on what was discussed, but it's pretty clear that Russian press and Russian government are reporting deals were made, but, you know, Joe Dunford, the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff in the United States, had not been briefed about the summit a week later. General Votel, who's the head of Central Command overseeing the Middle East, when he was asked, are you going to cooperate with Russia now in Syria? He said no. And
Russia attacked him for countering the official policy of the President of the United States. When we asked Secretary Pompeo, what is that official policy, he had no idea. So they gave us very little information, and it looks like with respect to Russia,
so they don't know what's going on. Now, they don't know what's going on, but I told them what was going on a long time ago. And I got the witness right here. I'm going to call him the witness right now. Just a moment. Now, you listen carefully to this. Now, they don't know what's going on, right? Now, look at this.
Issue is the most powerful issue in American politics.
79 votes. The Speaker of the House, the Senate Minority Leader, and all 6 Republican members of the Joint Committee on Deficit Reduction.
A lot of people think you're the most powerful man in Washington. To the Tea Party, people say, oh, Grover Norquist has power. No, Grover Norquist and Americans for Tax Reform focus on the tax issue. The tax issue is a powerful issue.
Grover Norquist is trying to be modest. Since creating Americans for Tax Reform at Ronald Reagan's behest back in 1985, Norquist has been responsible more than anyone else for rewriting the dogma of the Republican Party.
The Republicans won't raise your taxes. We haven't had a Republican vote for an income tax increase since 1990.
And this was your doing.
I helped. Yeah.
It began with a simple idea of getting Republicans all over the country to sign a note called the Taxpayer Protection Pledge, promising their constituents that they would never, ever vote for anything that would make their taxes go up.
Speaker Gingrich's tax pledge back in 1998.
And once they signed the pledge, Grover Norquist never forgets. The more signatures he's collected, the more his influence has grown.
I think to win a Republican primary, it is difficult to imagine somebody winning a primary without taking the pledge.
The signatories not only include more than 270 members of Congress, but all of the Republican presidential candidates with the lone exception of John Huntsman.
Okay, folks, we want to get going?
All that leverage has made Norquist's Wednesday breakfast meetings a must-attend event for Republican operatives fortunate enough to get an invitation. David Keene, the president of the National Rifle Association, was there the day we attended, along with conservative columnist John Fund. This is the Grand Central Station of the conservative movement. We were told it was the first time to have ever been allowed into the weekly off-the-record strategy session.
Our approach is going to be to just simply drill away every day as people from Capitol Hill, House and Senate, think tanks, Tea Party groups, business groups.
Now, if possible, I hope we can get maybe 5 or 10 minutes over, because I want y'all to all hear this, and I want them on TV up there to hear this. So, Brother Derek, if it's okay, if there's nothing pressing, I would like to go over tonight a little bit, and we'll take care of it later.
Everybody who wants the government to be smaller and everybody who wants the government to leave them alone. I intend to win. I intend to be part of the whole effort to crush the other team.
Grover Norquist is...
Who is the other team? He want to be part of the overall effort to crush the other team. Well, who is the other team? I thought that America, the Democrats and the Republicans are actually the same team, just like and you know, when you in a football game, the offensive team and the defensive team, they all on the same team. Huh? But Grover Norquist, he talking like America is fighting itself. He wants to crush the other team. Well, what other team is he talking about? Listen.
Called both the dark wizard of the right's anti-tax cult and the single most effective conservative activist in the country. He is a libertarian ideologue who believes that Washington is controlling our lives through the taxes it raises to fund big government.
Ain't that the same thing that fella Ron, what's his name? Who else is a libertarian in there? Rand Paul, ain't he? Ain't he a libertarian? Yeah. Sitting up in there pretending to be a Republican, and all of them in it together to do what to America? A house divided against itself, what? Listen. Now listen to, he gonna tell you exactly what he wants to do.
And he said that he wants to shrink it to the size where it could be drowned in a bathtub.
You want to drown it in the bathtub?
No, we want it down.
Washington is controlling our lives through the taxes it raises to fund big government. And he said that he wants to shrink it to the size where it could be drowned in a bathtub.
You want to drown it in the bathtub?
No, we want it down to the size to where it would fit in the bathtub. And then it could worry about what we're up to.
Now, what are the American people doing now? Worried about who was up to in a meeting with Vladimir Putin? Ain't you been worried about what he was talking about behind closed doors? That's what Grover Norquist said he wanted you to have to do. When you don't know what your government is doing, then how can you support them? You put people in office and they tell you it ain't none of your business what they doing. That you sound like y'all done became Negroes, white folks. You sound like the Negro. Look at all that. I'll show you an example. Them preachers in Farrakhan and you know, with that 1 Million Man March, had all them Negroes come to Washington, spent all that money, and then dropped all that money in them boxes and whatnot, and ain't nobody told them what happened to the money and what you did with it and what you needed it for. Ain't none of your business what they do with what you give them. Now, what kind of leadership is that? What kind of? I mean, you act like a dead man. Here, this man doing all kind of stuff as the head of your nation, and you don't have the slightest clue to what he doing, and you don't find nothing wrong with that. There was a time when a president try to pull some mess like that, he'd have been out of there quicker than he'd never been in there. But what can I say? So I'm gonna leave it. What did Grover say? He wants you wondering what they're doing. When Mr. Putin take a bath, the whole government of America is in the bathtub. From the appearance of it, I mean, Sarah Palin them was bragging on him, said he was her and some of them other people in Congress, and her as a governor of a state, bragging how Putin playing chess. Well, if he playing chess, he was putting his people in positions. He was putting his puppets, his pawns, in positions. He even gave one of them a souvenir ball. Yeah, take this back home. Huh? Threw it to him. Didn't even hand it to him, just threw it to him. Maybe I missed that part. He might have handed it to him. But either way, it showed that, you know, Putin was at ease. He was very relaxed. Trump standing up there looking like he had a board in his back. Why? Because he was in front of his master. They didn't want to come out there talking tough to the Iranian people that had already made a deal to not have nuclear weapons for at least 10 years. And he goes there and undo the deal and then talk about what he want to do to them if they talk tough against America. Well, he ain't talking about what he going to do to Putin. He was over there kissing his behind. So, you know. But Grover got what he said he wanted. Let's see it again.
Is controlling our lives through the taxes it raises to fund effective conservative activists in the country. He is a libertarian ideologue who believes that Washington is controlling our lives through the taxes it raises to fund big government.
Now, he's saying Washington is controlling the lives of the American people when the American people is the ones that helped to create Washington. The government of America came from the American people. And everything that was set up by the American people for the American people. It is man that convinced you that health care ain't in your best interest. You got to be pretty stupid.
And he said that he wants to shrink it to the size where it could be drowned in a bathtub.
You want to drown it in the bathtub? No, we want it down to the size to where it would fit in the bathtub. And then it could worry about what we're up to.
How do you get the American people worried about what the politicians is up to? First thing you do is get rid of the Justice Department, the FBI, the Federal Bureau, whose job is to investigate what they up to. Get rid of them. Undermine them. Well, let me leave it alone. I know I'm getting on your nerves, so I'm gonna leave it alone. But just remember, I did try to warn you. Yeah, he wants you to wonder what he's up to. And that's what you're doing now. You wondering what Trump is up to. You wondering what's going on with North Korea. And you wondering what's happening with the G7, where America seemed to be, the head of America seemed to be undermining the relationship, the friendships between the nations that have been the ones who have been democratic, and he seemed to be promoting totalitarianism and to promoting dictatorships. And you wondering what's going on with that. I'll tell you what's going on with it. And what's going on with it? That man don't represent America. In order for someone to represent America, they must represent American values. Is it an American value to take babies from their mothers and things and ship them off somewhere and then ship their parents back somewhere without their children? Is that an American value? Is it American values to walk around spitting on the Bible? Yeah, man. I mean, he told on himself that he don't go to no, ain't got no belief in no God. Have you ever asked God for forgiveness? No. And you know good and well a man who ain't asked God for forgiveness ain't thinking about asking you for none. Huh? Which means he thinks that whatever he do, it's okay as long as he can get away with it. Because in order to ask forgiveness, you have to first feel like you have to answer to somebody. You ask God's forgiveness if you believe you have to answer to him. But if you don't believe there is a God, if you don't think that you have to answer to a God, then you don't need him to forgive you, do you? Anyway, let me let y'all go. I don't talk too much.
Sir, you have one question.
Yes, what is your question?
Black man asks, what's the best way to stop bad habits?
You can't stop bad habits. You can only replace them with good ones. As far as just saying, I'm going to stop this and I'm going to stop that. No, you have to replace it with a good habit. That's the way you stop evil thoughts. You replace them with good thoughts. And that's why you come to these classes. you know, and, you know, we all have bad habits. We can't help but have bad habits. We grew up in the lap of the devil, in the mind of the devil. The whole world has been under the devil for the past 6,000 years. Why do you think I'm able to condemn all the religions and nobody can defend their religion to me? It is because all of the religions that you have up to now, they were under Satan. There was no religion at all. Righteousness have been kept from this world. That's why the books were sealed. The Holy Scriptures, nobody could understand them. So nobody could be righteous. So because no one could be righteous, because the instruction in righteousness was sealed up until 6,000 years expired. Then, now, everybody is being offered righteousness because the curse has been lifted. And the curse was that everybody's spiritual eye was closed. So now I'm here and I have forgiven everybody. Like the book says, the Son of Man hath power on earth to forgive sins. So everybody has been forgiven for what they did for the past 6,000 years, no matter what it was. The only thing you being held accountable for now is how you acted once I spoke to you. It's just like the people who've been convinced that the only way they can get off of drugs is to you got to have a lots of help. You got to have ain't no drug more powerful than your will, your mind. When the mind is made up, the body has no choice but to accept whatever the mind decides. And I'm telling you that even those bad habits that we have, those are habits. Our habits was created by our thoughts. If you want to change your habit, change your thought. All you got to do is just say, well, instead of doing that, I'm going to start doing this. Instead of drinking alcohol, I'm going to just start drinking water and milk and juices and things that is good for my body instead of things that are destroying my liver and destroying my good health. I think I'm going to just start eating good food instead of all of that poison that I've been eating. I mean, there was a time when you couldn't feed me no butter. You know, butter, period. You had to give me oleo because butter tasted funny. It didn't taste right. And but when I found out, you know, when I started eating properly, then I developed a new taste. I developed a new way of eating and a new way of drinking. And so can you. It's just like the only way to get rid of darkness is to bring light. The only way to get rid of a bad habit is to put a good one in its place. Ain't no vacuums. You know, if you get rid of bad and don't replace it with good, bad gonna ease on back in. Okay. So just come to class, pay attention, and I'm treating America like I would want it if it was my country, if it was my fathers who founded it or whatnot. I would appreciate someone telling me that, you know, we have people trying to undermine and destroy the country. And I would, you know, so I won't help people do to your house, to your country, what I would not want done to mine. And if you find fault in me for that, I'm talking to my people, then maybe you don't believe in righteousness as much as you claim. So I think it's written somewhere, as you would that men do to you, do ye also unto them. All right. Then I'm going to let you go now. So may Allah bless us, keep us safe, and in our right minds. May Allah's Salaam Alaikum.
This session is no longer being recording.